You're listening to Bush Radio. Bush Radio.
Your real talk radio.
Daganan kilo bejanin kom lomoham. Di bejamaso sanalom. Muasa benge kaputo.
State Affairs.
State Affairs with Edmund Obilo.
The program is State Affairs. My guest is Comrade Femi Aborisade. Comrade Aborisade, it's good to have you on State Affairs.
Thanks very much for having me, and we appreciate you for your public interest orientation.
It's about Richard Gbadebo. Your chambers is representing the family. So what is the latest on the matter?
The latest is that we held a meeting today in the office of the Honorable Commissioner for Youth and Sports, Honorable Commissioner Sheun Pakorede.
And when you say today, today is Friday, 21st of August, right?
Yes. Today, 21st day of August, 2020. In attendance were also the representatives of the family, in persons of the father of Richard Gbadebo, Mr. Olushola Gbadebo, the wife, Mrs. Gbadebo, and their daughter, Shewa Gbadebo. The company was represented by the human resource manager, as well as their lawyer from Olaniwu Ajayi Chambers. And we represented, as a chambers, we represented the family, ASCAB, Alliance on Surviving COVID-19 and Beyond. That organization was also represented by Moshood Adewale, representing the national chairman of ASCAB, Mr. Femi Falana. And we also made it clear that we were also representing the interests of international lawyers assisting workers, ILAW network, with presence in 56 countries of the world. And the companies, through their lawyer, are offered to make what they regard as a contribution or compensation, but we agreed with them that we will not make the details of whatever we are discussing as far as the amount is concerned. We will not subject it to public discourse, so that it doesn't appear as if we turning the late Richard Gbadebo into a commodity to be bought and sold. But essentially, we turned down their offer on the basis that it was seemingly ridiculous and provocative. But we don't want to make the figures public.
So when you turned down their offer, what was their reaction?
Their reaction was that they will go back and discuss with their clients, the companies where Richard Gbadebo was crushed to death, and that they will let us know when we could have another meeting. However, apart from the question about compensation, we also called on the commissioner that we were prepared to partner with the commissioner to ensure that the kind of gruesome death in which Richard Gbadebo died will not occur again, never again. we called for a public hearing so that we know the facts, the circumstances, so as to inform what measures must be taken to avert that kind of experience, either in Oyo State or indeed in Nigeria. We also demanded that we should be granted access to the CCTV so that we can examine it through our experts in order to know what actually transpired, in order to know what measures the company must put in place to avert such.
What is the company saying? What is the circumstances surrounding his death? Has the company come out with any explanation?
No, the company, as far as I know, has not come out with any explanation. Their reaction is that some ministries of government have investigated and that they have their findings.
Okay.
We also enjoin the commissioner to use his office and prevail on the Ministry of Environment of Oyo State to make available the certified true copy of the findings of the Ministry of Environment. We also call on the commissioner to approach the Federal Ministry of Labor that has statutory responsibility for visiting factories to also make available certified true copy of its own findings on our own. We would also apply for certified true copies of the findings by the Ministry of Environment and the Ministry of Labor, all with a view to understanding the circumstances that led to the death of Richard Gbadebo and to make the point about the measures the company must take in order to prevent reoccurrence in the future. We also called for a public inquiry because under the Occupational Health and Safety Convention of the International Labour Organization, Convention number 155 of 1981, where such an occurrence breaks out, it is mandatory for there to be a public inquiry to unveil what really transpired and to identify what must be done to prevent reoccurrence.
Comrade Aborisade, from the meetings, what is the body language of Henkel, the producers of WOW detergent?
Orally, they express regret at what happened, but we, representing the family, representing Alliance on Surviving COVID-19 and Beyond ASCAB, and representing the international lawyers assisting workers, we are not concerned or interested in their oral apology. We are interested in ensuring justice for Richard Gbadebo and in ensuring that such an occurrence would never happen again. And that can only be prevented if we understand the circumstances surrounding the operations of the company, measures that ought to have been put in place, which were not put in place. We need to understand and unveil and expose such facts to the entire world so that never again shall we witness circumstances such as the gruesome death of Richard Gbadebo, not only in Oyo State, but indeed in the whole of Nigeria.
Was Richard Gbadebo alone when the accident happened?
Well, that is one of the reasons why we are interested in the CCTV footage, We are demanding and reiterating again that the company should make available, Henkel should make available the CCTV footage so that we understand what was the situation while the unfortunate incidents occurred. We can only speculate at this stage. We can only rely on what his colleagues told his father, that whereas about 8 persons were supposed to be working on the machine, those working on the machine, as at the time it happened that only Richard Gbadebo was on the machine. But these are speculations, and that is why we demand for the CCTV footage, or in the alternative, if they are unable to grant us to supply us with the CCTV footage, we demand to have access to the CCTV. We have experts that can examine the CCTV and uncover what actually happened.
Have you ascertained if there was a CCTV at the location?
Yes, according to the father of the late Richard Gbadebo, Mr. Olushola Gbadebo, who went to the factory when he was called upon, it was ascertained that there was a CCTV, but the security persons in the company told the family that the CCTV was not working. Whether it was working or not, we, on behalf of the family, on behalf of ASCAB, on behalf of ILAW, on behalf of the Nigerian society as a whole, we demand to have access to the CCTV so that our experts can examine the CCTV.
Comrade Aborisade, what does the death of Richard Gbadebo mean at this time in the life of our country?
Well, the unfortunate death, or if I may put it, the unfortunate mother of Richard Gbadebo reflects one thing. Our society, as it is currently run, is based on prioritizing the profit, greed of the employers of labor, as opposed to guaranteeing, safeguarding the welfare, the security, the safety of ordinary people and the working class, the workers working in those factories. Because as I pointed out at the meeting today, nowhere in Europe and America could the operator of a machine could have been crushed to death, could have been consumed, because the owners of the company ought to have prevented such by covering dangerous parts of the machine. Obviously, the dangerous parts of the machine were not covered as provided by law. Again, we also understand Richard Gbadebo was employed as a packer to pack their products. Unfortunately, he died in the course of operating the machine. Most probably, apart from the machine not being covered appropriately, most likely, he was also not trained because he was not employed as an operator of the machine. He was employed as a packer. How come a person employed as a packer was deployed to be operating a machine? And obviously, it was clear protective equipment was not provided for him. Otherwise, what happened could have been averted.
Is there an employment letter issued to the late Richard?
Well, we have not had access to any employment letter issued to the late Richard Gbadebo. And indeed, the lawyer representing the company was also hinting at the fact that he was actually not their employee. He was employed by a company that outsourced him to them. But I pointed out to the counsel representing the company that in law, within the context of the manner in which Richard Gbadebo died, within the context of the death having been linked to the cause of the work process, Henkel is deemed to be the employer of Richard Gbadebo, whether or not a letter was issued. A contract of employment can be entered into either orally or in writing. The absence of any letter does not negatively affect the existence of an employment relationship between Richard Gbadebo and the company.
Does this situation bring to the fore again the question of casualization?
It highlights the plight of casual workers, but as far as the incidence of death is concerned, whether or not a person was employed on a permanent basis, whether or not a person was employed as a casual worker, the company is deemed liable. The company is deemed in law to have killed the worker who dies in the course of work, where it is established that the company was negligent in terms of not observing certain provisions of the law in covering dangerous parts of the machines to prevent the occurrence that we are confronted with in the death of Richard Gbadebo.
Is there the possibility of taking the company to court in this matter?
There is no doubt about that. At the meeting today, we made it absolutely clear, and in natural fact, as a matter of fact, the lawyer representing the company also made a statement in agreeing with us and in our agreeing with them that our meeting today is without prejudice to any other optional course of action the family may deem fit to take. It is the responsibility of the government of the state not in terms of Oyo State, but the state as the apparatus of coercion to enforce laws. It is the responsibility of the state, of the government, to investigate and prosecute where it is established that the company was liable in terms of failing to observe the provisions of the law to prevent the death that has occurred. However, the family of the deceased also have a right under the law to institute a civil suit, praying the court to order adequate compensation where the company fails to make available a compensation that is acceptable to the family. So there are two options: the criminal prosecution of the company and its owners. The responsibility for that lies with the government. The responsibility for instituting a civil suit to pray for adequate compensation lies with the family, where the family is not satisfied. Let me make it clear that in taking that line of action, if the family is compelled to brief us to institute a civil suit for compensation, let me make it absolutely clear that we'll be doing so under the common law. We will not do so under the Factories Act. We will not do so under the Employees Compensation Act. And the reasons are, one, under the Factories Act, the dependents under Section 71 of the Factories Act, the dependents of the deceased are only entitled to just 5,000 naira.
Interesting.
Under the provisions of the Employees Compensation Act, in the event of death, the dependents are only entitled to between 40% and 90% of the salary or wages of the deceased for life. Now, here was a young man of 21 years old who was just earning about 1,000 naira, 1,500 naira. What is 40% of that? What is even 90% of that?
When you say,
Indeed,
when you say
1,500
naira, is it per day?
He was earning about 1,500 naira per day.
Okay.
Under the Employees Compensation Act, the dependents are entitled to between 40% and 90% of that for life. But I'm arguing that even if the dependents will be entitled to 100%, what is 1,500 naira? What does it come to in the final analysis at the end of the month? I'm raising these issues to draw public attention, to draw the attention of our lawmakers to areas that need pertinent attention, to areas that need overhauling, a complete overhauling. We need to amend our laws to show that we value human life, to show that we appreciate the sanctity of life, to show that we appreciate the sacredness of life. What is 5,000 naira under the Factories Act? But I made it clear, we will not sue under the Factories Act. We will not sue under the Employees Compensation Act. We will sue under the common law, which gives us room to demand or pray the court to award adequate compensation, even though in the final analysis, the court would have the discretion to grant what the court considers to be adequate in the circumstances. But there are precedents in which the courts are always eager to award adequate compensation under the common law.
Has the company been reopened?
The company, to the best of our knowledge, which was also reiterated today, the company has not reopened. It has not.
Why is ASCAB, the Alliance for Surviving COVID-19 and Beyond, so keen about this matter?
Well, ASCAB is interested in this matter because, as the name denotes, Alliance on Surviving COVID-19 and Beyond, we are interested in fighting for justice for all, regardless of their economic status. Once issues of justice are involved, regardless of ethnic differences, religious affiliation or background, ASCAB is prepared to fight for justice for all. Be you students, be you workers, and the international lawyers assisting workers is also interested on the basis that Richard Gbadebo was a worker, though essentially was a student, but he was compelled under the lockdown, under the COVID-19 lockdown, to seek for a job, not to assist his parents. So ILAW is interested in fighting for all categories of workers. ASCAB, Alliance on Surviving COVID-19, is interested in fighting for justice, in ensuring that we change the philosophy of governance in Nigeria Governance in Nigeria today is predicated upon prioritizing the greed of the rulers, the greed of employers. We are interested in changing that fundamentally so that governance, the philosophy of governance, will prioritize the welfare of ordinary people, the welfare of workers, the welfare of pensioners, the welfare of the unemployed, the welfare of the aged, the welfare of the downtrodden, the oppressed, and the suppressed. They are entitled to enjoy the wealth of the country.
Yes, as we round off the meeting of today, and today is Friday, 21st of August, what can you say was the outlook of Oyo State government?
If we measure the outlook of the Oyo State government from the disposition of the Honorable Commissioner for Youth and Sports, I think that their disposition is positive. The Commissioner expressed preparedness to partner with us to ensure that not only in Henkel, but indeed in other companies, they are compelled to observe the provisions of the law, to provide protective equipment, to cover dangerous parts of machines, so that we will not witness this kind of sad development again. The commissioner said he would be interested in all cases involving youths, and that he also recognizes that it is not only his ministry that is concerned. Other ministries also have basis to be involved, and that those other ministries, including the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Environment, and other ministries that may be connected, would be involved in ensuring justice for Richard Gbadebo, and most importantly, preventing future reoccurrence of untimely death of young people.
And how are the Gbadebos? How are they feeling?
From my reading of their appearance, you cannot talk about recovering. In fact, the dad made it absolutely clear that he's sad, that he may have is being dragged into discussing compensation about the laws, the sad laws of his son, and that billions can never replace Richard Gbadebo. In fact, as we were in that meeting, they were also moved to tears. So I guess it will take time for them to recover from it, if they ever recover. Even in their own silent moments, the thoughts of Richard Gbadebo will linger in their memory.
Comrade Femi Aborisade, thank you for featuring on State Affairs.
Thanks very much.
Bruce Ray!